relationship.
Well, just looking at the historical materials, we have press kits and old materials from you guys back in the late '60s, and that stuff doesn't exist for any other team back in the '60s. Not because it's been lost, because it just wasn't happening at the time.
Well, they didn't know how to do it, and they really weren't motivated in the same way we were. First of all, I had to make a living. I left a very nice position with Eastman Kodak Company in 1963 to go off into professional motorsports, and at that point it wasn't even termed professional motorsports. We made it into professional motorsports by doing the things we did, and we were guided by advertising people, experiences with advertising people. My former partner, Dick Gilmartin, who was very briefly a partner, he was an advertising exec, and he taught me a lot of how that goes. And when I began getting funded to some degree by Triumph, people like Mike Cook and the advertising managers of the sponsors were interested in what we were doing and encouraged us to do these kinds of things. And by doing that, by doing the things that they encouraged me to do and I was intuitively had some knowledge of, we were able to establish ourselves with those sponsors and prove to them that what we were doing was selling their product.
So do you see any series today that have a lot of untapped potential? What do you like of what you see out there today?
Well, I think this kind of thing has an untapped potential, and I have the good fortune of had a long-term friendship with Michael Dale, the former president of Jaguar USA, and he was instrumental in much of what we did in the days of racing for Jaguar and Triumph and MGB for that matter. And he's here, and his eyes have been on what's happening here. Though he is no longer the president, he's retired, he does have some influence of the people that do that. And I have a feeling that if he doesn't, it will be in the back of his mind for years that he should have.
That historic racing is a legitimate contender.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. I've known it for a long time, and as a matter of fact, I tried several times with various sponsors, and I didn't try real hard because I'm not sure that I really wanted to get back into this sort of thing. But I have been a long advocate of this type of race, though this is only the second one I've ever attended. I was aware of the kind of things that happen at these races because people come back and told me. You know, Hurley Haywood is a good friend of mine, and Brian Redmond, who runs some of these kinds of events. And I look at the numbers, and they're outstanding.
Well, and HSR has a very, very unique approach in that it's not necessarily just vintage race cars. It's basically obsolete race cars. Mm-hmm. It's cars that have no real professional series to go into anymore, but really need a place to be showcased.
Well, I don't look at it from that viewpoint as much as HSR people do. I look at it from the number of people that are here who are impressionable, and a person who's going to sell something that has to do with the motorsports industry needs to be exposed, needs to expose themselves into this arena, because the people in the pits are the people that are the buyers, not the spectators so much, although the spectators are certainly a factor, but the people in the pits are the avid supporters of the sponsors that come to these events.
So you've largely retired from the competition arena. What do you enjoy doing these days?
Travel. I do a lot of traveling. I have an airplane that I fly around the countryside, and
King Air still?
Yeah, a little King Air, baby King Air I call it. And I travel a great deal. I don't go to air shows anymore so much, but we fly lots of places, down to Turks and Caicos and Jamaica, and we've been to England, and we just go all over. Not in the King Air, by the way. But
I'm glad this what started out with a TR3 has led you to be able to relax a little bit, and I'm glad you're enjoying some of your creations out here on track this weekend. And any final words?
Well, I'm enjoying it much more than I anticipated, I can tell you that. And the people have just been wonderful. Yourself, Tim Sutter, his staff, all of his staff, and the people that have HSR, I couldn't have been treated more magnificently. I've been here, and I don't I don't think about being treated well because I don't go to these things very much, but they have been so gracious that it's an emotional experience as well as a.
Well, I'm glad you're seeing some of the impact you had on all these folks out there. I've talked to a dozen people who were so excited that you signed part of their car or an old program they had or something. So I appreciate you being here and just kind of sharing some of this stuff with us. Well, Bob Tullius, thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Appreciate you coming out.
That's fine. It's been great.